F1 icon Alain Prost says that Sir Lewis Hamilton might find his transition from Mercedes to Ferrari next year challenging, given the difference in cultures, both team and national. You go to an Italian team, especially with the different pressure, different way of thinking. He is under pressure from the media. It's not that easy, he said. Australia has finally been confirmed as Formula One's season opener in 2025, with the sport releasing the new 24-event calendar ahead of China that will mark its 75th World Championship. Melbourne was expected to be locked in as next season's curtain raiser, with Ramadan starting on March 1st, and the Albert Park track's current deal including a minimum of 5 F1 season openers. The season starts later than 2024 on March 16. Australia forms a double-header with China. Japan stays in April with Bahrain and Saudi Arabia. A 3-week break follows Silverstone. While F1's summer shutdown follows Zandvoort. The season again closes with a furious cross-continent triple-header, including Las Vegas, Qatar, and Abu Dhabi as the finale. Two-time F1 world champion Fernando Alonso has re-signed with Aston Martin on a long-term contract that will keep him dressed in green for the remainder of his career at the pinnacle of motorsport. Alonso's move is an early one in the 2025-2026 driver market, with rivals waiting for what reigning world champion Max Verstappen does for 2026 and beyond, despite a contract through to 2028. It's understood Alonso was swayed by Aston Martin, whose road car brand has recommitted to the team until 2030 and acquired a stake, along with its future Honda Works deal, effective upgrades, and a chance to again race at Le Mans in a Valkyrie hypercar once he's done with F1. It's a lifetime project in a way for me, he said. This is something that will give me a link with Aston for many, many years to come. Let's see which role, let's see how many more years I will drive. Alonso's news will no doubt have an impact on the driver market. With the Spaniard likely to partner Lance Stroll, Ferrari and McLaren have no room, while Verstappen is at Red Bull, with George Russell at Mercedes. Alex Albon is locked in at Williams. Ferrari's Carlos Sainz made a racket ahead of the Chinese Grand Prix when he dropped in on the Monte Carlo Masters tennis tournament with his girlfriend Rebecca Donaldson. Sainz first caught up with world number 1 Novak Djokovic, who asked him about the quality of his game.
Hey. What's up? You get a chance to play a little bit tennis?
My backhand is terrible. My drive is okay. And my volley sucks. But
it's in the Spanish blood to have better forehand, you know? Always forehand and relying on the forehand.
Sainz then met up with Italian superstar Yannick Sinner, with the world number 2 proving to be a race fan.
I love Formula 1, so I follow it.
You have a Ferrari yet or not?
No, not yet.
In the bucket list?
In the bucket list.
Okay.
Staying with Sainz, who says F1's outlier circuits like Miami, Monza and Singapore are where he expects Ferrari to next fight for a win. Sainz, who is a free agent at the end of the year and facing an imminent deadline to sign with Sauber for a seat at the upcoming Audi project, won last month's Australian Grand Prix after Red Bull Top Gun Max Verstappen suffered brake failure and retired. But while repeating the feat at the next race in Japan proved impossible, with Verstappen back in untouchable form, Sainz says that Ferrari has to target specific opportunities until it builds an all-rounder. There are other tracks where the Red Bull just simply has a much better package, he said. Until we develop this car at these kinds of tracks, they will be 0.3 to half a second ahead. Andrea Stella says McLaren can win races this year if it can continue to add effective upgrades to its MCL 38. McLaren is planning to introduce its first major upgrade for the season in Miami, despite it being a sprint weekend. But while team principal Stella told official podcast F1 Nation that second in the constructors is a target, he admitted that first on track is also possible.
Ferrari is not far. Is definitely within the reach of our development capability. Therefore, we are fully determined to deliver enough performance on the car to go and attack Ferrari for the second place. Then if we deliver the same kind of developments that we delivered last race, then why not thinking about winning races this year?
Mercedes says it's not where it needs to be at the moment, but the squad is keeping the faith that it has a more stable platform in the W15. Mercedes left the last race in Japan downcast, with team boss Toto Wolff admitting it was now live testing during races, and that its opening stint at Suzuka was atrocious, with both wind and track temperature affecting the W15's pace across the weekend.
There's no doubt that we're not where we need to be at the moment. We know that, and we know that we've got work to do. But certainly working with the car across the weekend was easier. The balance of the car was more consistent. There are issues that we need to get on top of and get on top of quickly, but certainly we seem to have a more stable platform.
The squad will be limited on time to experiment in China as the season's opening sprint weekend, but the homework will be done.
We've not been there with this generation of cars, so the tyres are different, the aerodynamics is very different, there's a lot of work that we need to do, and the bulk of that work gets done in simulation, but there is also a bit of just rereading old notes, looking at how the tyres were performing in terms of tyre wear, what was driving degradation, to try and build that picture.
Alpine says its F1 team is categorically not for sale, and the rumors and stories about the team being for sale are false, amid the Enstone team's worst start to a season since 2014. Alpine is one of 3 teams yet to score a point after 4 rounds, but its A524 is far less competitive than the Williams and Sauber cars, leaving it 10th and last in the constructors' standings. And while Alpine has slammed growing rumors its team could be sold, chatter in the paddock continues that its parent Renault may become fed up with the works operation and sell. As long as any prospective buyer guarantees it will run Renault power units from its Viry-Châtillon engine operation, reportedly through to 2029. Ex-F1 driver Juan Pablo Montoya says the Formula One paddock was a far more hostile environment during his time on the grid than it is today, with the drivers then keeping to themselves to be cutthroat out on track. Montoya had 94 F1 starts for Williams and McLaren between 2001 and 2006, but told the sport's official podcast Beyond the Grid that he sees a different culture today when he enters the inner sanctum.
So nowadays, with social media and everything, the teammates are best friends and they go for dinner together and they all go play paddle together. In my time, you didn't talk to anybody. You know, I used to talk to Fernando and still do, and Rubens and Massa sometimes, and that was it.
Japan's Super Formula Series, the closest to F1 in terms of its speed and lap times, could join the bill at next year's Japanese Grand Prix, with race organizers keen to boost its support roster. This year's event featured local editions of 2 sports car series, Ferrari Challenge and Porsche Carrera Cup. But the addition of Super Formula would not only see a more competitive offering, but likely top F1 aspirants, with 2023 F2 champion Théo Pourchaire on this year's Super Formula grid. And its past competitors including Liam Lawson and Pierre Gasly, both of whom fought for the title. And the push is now on to get the series on the F1 bill for 2025. It would be very exciting for us to have F1 and Super Formula on the same weekend. It is a possibility, and we would welcome this option. But of course, we are not able to decide, said Suzuka President Tsuyoshi Saito. Thanks for watching. To stay up to speed on all things Formula One, make sure you hit the subscribe button.